Hello everyone, and welcome to this build session on building rich microcapabilities using link unfurling. In terms of the agenda we're going to cover today, we're going to talk about a new concept that we're calling microcapabilities, and then we'll touch on 3 key microcapabilities that you can set yourselves up for, whether you're an app or even if you're not a Teams app. There's Zeroinstall, link unfurling, links in stageview, and rich actionable link previews, and we'll end with kind of some key takeaways that you can take with you. Now, getting into what microcapabilities are. I'll start off with kind of a quick case study that we did on the YouTube app for Teams. We found that 9 out of 10 YouTube app views in Teams are actually coming from when a user pastes a YouTube link and they see the kind of screen that you see on number 1 here, asking the user to kind of consent to the app to see a preview. In that moment, the app gets silently installed for the user and the link unfurls. And we're seeing that 9 out of 10 YouTube discovery instances are happening in this way. It's in context. The user doesn't have to leave Teams. It's not disruptive to the user's kind of workflow, and it's again super low friction. So we took a leaf from this, and we reevaluated kind of what our app model looks like today. For our 3 main personas, users, developers, and IT admins, our app model today starts from what you see on the rightmost section here, which is users go to the store or to our flyouts inside Teams. They discover an app, download it, and then kind of interact with its different capabilities. Link unfurling being one of them, but then really rich other capabilities like tabs, message extensions, etc. Now, for developers, for you, it involves kind of building a full Teams app with leveraging all of these different scopes, and then for IT admins as well, a ton of trust is involved in terms of enabling these third-party experiences for their tenants. And we thought, what if we introduced this concept called microcapabilities, and instead started right here, leftmost, which is for the users, setting up small sort of in-context discovery points for users to understand what our apps do and to start to take advantage of like small experiences within their workflows and teams without actually having to switch context. For you, the developers, being able to kind of create these simpler experiences in Teams, starting small, understanding users, use cases, scenarios, and then working off from there to build add-on capabilities. And for IT, again, creating these experiences, for example, a user pulling a link off of Teams, pasting it off of the browser, pasting it in Teams, and the link just unfurling with the metadata that's already available on the website. It's again implicit trust for IT admins to enable and to start to understand and relate to the app. So microcapabilities, in a nutshell, will start to pull small bits of functionality out of the app, like in this example, link sharing and link previews, and map a user's patterns, for our example, link sharing, with the app skill, which is link unfurling, into an adaptive card, even before an app has been installed or required by the user or discovered by the user. So then, in essence, microcapabilities need to be zero install for the user, so zero friction, in context where the user is at in their workflow, easy to discover for them, ephemeral, and then again, low privilege to ensure that our IT partners are trusting these apps. And then naturally, we're beginning our foray into microcapabilities with one of the most popular forms of collaboration in Teams, which is link sharing. Looking at the link sharing workflow today, when a user pastes a link in Teams, there's 2 kind of paths that can follow. Either that link maps to an app in Teams that already does link unfurling, in rich adaptive cards, or it's not a Teams app yet. And we treat these scenarios, in different ways. As you can see here, if it is a Teams app and it has a registered adaptive card and a user has already installed it, that's the best case scenario. We unfurl a beautiful link preview. As you can see here, it's got some more metadata about, for example, here the Trello link, the task description, due date, collaborators, action buttons for anyone receiving that link to be able to take probable actions on that link as well. So this exists in Teams today, and it's a all-around great kind of mode of collaboration. Now the second instance is if it is a Teams app and an adaptive card is registered, but the user doesn't have the app installed, today the user doesn't know what exactly will happen once the link unfurls. I think there's not enough information available to the user to make a decision on whether they should do the work to authorize an app, to sign into it, for the preview to generate. So what we're actually introducing is two new offerings, the developer-generated preview card and a default preview card that will actually help users, when they paste a link in Teams, to better understand the value of signing into the app and the value of authenticating it, basically, to be able to generate these rich previews and to be able to understand how exactly these previews can be used to power their collaboration scenarios in Teams. Diving into that, look at the developer-generated preview card here. It's got kind of a structure of what the unfurled card would look like. It doesn't yet have, the exact information because in this scenario that lives behind, the user actually authenticating to the app, but it still gives you really, rich structure on what's going to happen once you sign in, what you look at on next to that is the default preview card. So if you do nothing, if your app does not do a skeleton card, we'll still have kind of a rich preview that will unfurl, and it'll kind of look like a card. It'll have some information, like a short description about what your app does, again for the user to better understand why they should sign into the app, why they should take advantage of it, etc. Now, both of them are like exciting new capabilities, and we've done a ton of studies, and we found that users find this really informative, and they understand why they should sign in, why they should start using the app. It's a great foray into this world of micro capabilities all around. Now, the second scenario is where a link is not a Teams app. In that scenario, today, all of those links unfurl into the kind of preview that you can see on the rightmost of this slide. So it's, we grab a kind of title, an image, and a short description from your website and generate it into a preview like what you see on the right. A new capability that we're working on, super exciting, is rich actionable previews. So what that means is that same link, in this case you see Vivian's Bistro, on Open Table, we were actually able to unfurl it into a preview that you see here, where you've got rich actionable buttons on that card, and you've got a ton of info: cuisine, payment, reviews, pricing, address, etc. So it's really rich, it's really actionable, and I as a user just absolutely loved this. So now, kind of diving into the flowchart that you see on the left, which is the scenario where the link maps to a Teams app, but the user hasn't yet installed it. That's what we're calling Zeroinstall link unfurling. And what this involves is two things. So first, if your app doesn't need user authentication, your cards are just going to auto unfurl without any further action from the user, without installation. So after you do this work, as soon as a link gets pasted in Teams, it'll unfurl for the user into a rich preview. As you can see here, immediately showcases the usefulness of the app, in-context discovery, zero installation from the user, keeps the user in their workflow, and it's low privilege. And it's low privilege because I'll talk about that a little bit more detail, later on in this deck. But if your app does need authentication, we're actually anonymously sharing information and masking PII, we're sharing that information with you so that you can generate this preview in the no auth scenario. So in the scenario where your app does need user authentication, what we're enabling is the ability to create a new preview card type. As you can see here, you can start to define this new card type and send it to us when you receive the new anonymous payload request with the PII information masked. Of course, you don't have any context on the user yet, so it's, you wouldn't have actual information on there, but this is great to kind of tell users about the structure of the card that's going to unfurl once they sign in. It's, for the Trello case, it's got a task description, it's got like due dates, collaborators, super actionable for, the user's purposes and for the people that are going to be receiving this link. So again, it's in context discovery. To use it, the user just needs to auth and get using. And then, of course, it keeps the users in the flow, that they're in. Now, kind of doing like an overview of what this is going to look like for the users and how it's like a super rich capability to unlock, higher discovery for your app. We're going to take a look here from the POV of the sender of the link, Amanda. So Amanda pastes a link here asking someone to review a Bitbucket change. As you can see here, this is the kind of skeleton preview card. It's got, again, the structure, the right fields of what's going to unfurl, and a button for the user to sign into the app. You can use this card for your app and supply it with images, descriptions, as much information that you can show for your app without requiring user authentication. This is a super rich, in-context form of discovery. We've done, like I said, a ton of research around this through our user research team, and we found that this has been a very well-received, concept, microcapabilities as a whole, and doing that through link sharing for your app. So, once the user signs in, of course, authentication will pop up. There's another option for this card. So, if, your app does not have like a skeleton preview card registered, we're still going to unfurl something that looks like a card preview, which is going to have a short description about your app, as well as, again, a button for the user to quickly authenticate and sign into the app. All of this is going to be implicit installation for the user, so it's all going to be like one-click sign-in experiences. Now, to take even more advantage of this workflow and to make it even low friction for the user, what I strongly recommend is using single sign-on. As you can see here, I, as a user, completely love this. It's already set up for me. The system knows kind of who the user is, and I just have to hit accept, and I can get on with my workflow. The card just auto unfurls. But of course, we recognize that there's unique scenarios that would require kind of custom auth. So then, in those scenarios, something like this would pop up to the user, and once the user authenticates, the card unfurls in context. From the receiver's flow, it's usual link unfurling, again, super actionable. If a user decides to click on anything, they can comment right there from within that window. So this is all existing link unfurling capabilities that the receiver can start using. But in terms of what you need to do to take advantage of everything that I talked about so far, it's super easy. Opt your app via your app manifest into this experience. Look for a new payload request type. It's called compose extension / anonymous query link. It's going to look like what you see on the right. So what you see on the right is our current kind of payload that we have, except in our current payload for link unfurling, the request we send out actually has all the fields that you see in red. It has those supplied in full. For the Zeroinstall link unfurling, we're going to be sending those, that PII information actually redacted in order to take advantage of Zeroinstall. Now, after step 1 and step 2, if your app doesn't require auth, the link is just going to unfurl for free for users. No clicks, no install. It's going to be ready to use. In the event that your app does require authentication, we will use the new preview card type that you send, and we'll unfurl that for the user. Once the user signs in, they'll complete auth and the card will unfurl. If you do not specify a skeleton card, we will supply our own kind of default preview card as well with some information about your app. Again, once the user opts into it, the card will just unfurl. All right, we'll dive into the next link sharing micro capability, which is called links in stageview. Super exciting again. So when your links get shared and get unfurled for users and teams today, there's a lot of scenarios we've seen where there's a button for the user to open that link, for the recipient to open that link inside of their browser, which kind of involves the user, leaving the context of whatever chat or channel they are in and then visiting that content. What stageview offers is a new capability where that link can actually open inside of Teams as a separate window so that the user does not have to leave their current context of collaboration. So it's really neat, and the way that you can set your app up for this is it's twofold. So when you're unfurling your app link into an adaptive card, include some tab info metadata so that we can understand exactly how to open that link in Teams. And then secondly, add collab buttons into your adaptive cards. So you can create an action.submit button, and you can include some MS Teams specific metadata behind your button so that we can trigger that stageview whenever that button is clicked. And you can kind of see what that looks like on the right here. That button, you'll specify it's an action.submit, again, and then you can specify the name of the button and then kind of specify exactly the metadata that we should use and pop up that stageview. So the third and final micro capability around link unfurling, again, super exciting, is rich actionable previews. So in the scenario where you either don't have a Teams app yet or your app hasn't been set up for link unfurling, there's something super exciting where you can still generate rich actionable previews for your links inside of Teams. Here's an example. We took a medium link here and we pulled off some metadata, which I'll talk through exactly how we did, pulled off some metadata off of this medium link, and we were able to create this kind of preview of that link, a ton of helpful information on here, for example, the author, a longer, a snippet of the article behind that link, as well as like rich buttons to either directly get into the Medium article or to learn a little bit more about the author. These are beautiful kind of rich links in Teams, and I'm excited to show you a preview of some others here. So as you can see, there's a Spotify kind of embedded link where you can play like a snippet of a Spotify song right from within your Teams shared adaptive card. There's an Eventbrite link where you can get direct links to the event. You can view the location on Bing Maps and then you can book it. There's this restaurant where you can directly hit the reservation page from that unfurled open table link in Teams. And again, scenarios for like for example Coursera trainings where you can directly go to the instructor profile. For articles, Medium, Wall Street Journal, there's just endless possibilities for these appless link previews. They're a great way to gather an understanding of how users are using your apps and Teams, what kind of links for your domains are getting shared, and then kind of foray into building an app that does, link unfurling in Teams. I think this is like a great way to kind of get an entry into, the world of Teams apps. So taking an example of the open table link here, you can see there's 3 buttons. Clicked on the view restaurant takes you directly to the restaurant. Clicked on the reservation button and it directly takes you to a link for reservations. Seeing it on Bing Maps again pops up the directions. So it's really neat. I mean, I as a user who shares a ton of links would love to kind of have this capability where when I'm trying to explicitly point the recipients of my link to certain content, I would love for them to be able to find it easily and take the action that I'm intending on it. So it's an all-around neat feature. And just to kind of recap that, every action button, these can be set up differently to specify different actions that are specific to your domain and the offerings that you have and the potential actions that users might want to take on your links. Talking about exactly how this works, there is a metadata standard out there, very popular on the internet, called schema.org, which was founded a while back as a partnership between Microsoft and other leading tech firms, basically as an open source standard for schemas of structured data on the internet. It's used by 10 million plus websites on the internet today, and it powers a ton of rich extensible experiences. It will power link sharing, which is another extensible experience in Teams, but then today it powers SERP response pages, structured web content, emails, etc., and it's very extensively used for search engine optimization as well. So a great kind of standard to look into and tag your domain with if you haven't already. Now, how we're using this data is super interesting. So there is, as you can see, this case study is of Wayfair. So off the Wayfair kind of metadata, you can see there's a ton of information on this ottoman. Things to pay attention to are the @type product. So let's say Wayfair, any other e-commerce websites out there, Amazon, Etsy, etc., IKEA would be using this structure for @type product for a variety of purposes, like mostly for SEO. And so this information is already tagged there, and this is how you can kind of tag for your website as well. You'll of course use the @type that's relevant to your use cases. You can see the name of the product, of course, is on there, but then there's interesting things like the description of that product, the rating, pricing info, stock information, etc. So it's very relevant to like an e-commerce product on the internet. Now, we take this information and we actually set up a template for every type category. So in this case, it's a type product, and it can unfurl into the kind of, so whenever an image, whenever a link for a product on Wayfair gets shared, it can actually unfurl into the kind of preview that you see on the right. So a button to buy, pricing info, a large image, etc. It's customizable. It can be made into whatever that the website needs. Now, in terms of how to kind of make use of these rich actionable previews for your website, it's super simple. Add structured schema.org JSON LD metadata to your website. That's what we're using. That's the content that we saw earlier. That's exactly what we're using from your website. We're making templates for the @types that you see here. So creative works, which is any kind of articles, movies, recipes, etc. Any kind of articles broadly. And then embedded content that's not text, for example, Spotify audio, YouTube videos, etc. Events like an Eventbrite link, and then a bunch of other medical related stuff, and of course places, restaurants. We see a ton of these types of links get shared in Teams. So super interesting possibilities there, again, to directly tag your website, directly tag your location, a reservation button, and then for your products as well, as we saw earlier with IKEA Wayfair, etc. Now, one important thing is make sure to add potential actions. That's what we're using. For example, if you tell us, I am a type restaurant and I think potential actions are, for example, reservation, location, maybe reviews. Leave those, tag those potential actions on your website, and we'll use those to, create these previews. Now, we're also working on a new feature that would empower you to easily set up custom views for your own website. Everything I talked through so far was for specific categories, but if you wanted even more customization for your links, we're working on kind of bringing that capability out to you as well. I would love if you would fill out this really quick form here and kind of just leave some information so that I can, we can get back to you with more updates as this is ready to share and to start working on. So with that, we are almost near the end of this session. Key takeaways, we talked about a bunch of interesting concepts today. Key takeaways are create a new preview card for your app. The skeleton preview we talked about, it could have structured content or, fill it with as much imagery, as much content, as much structure that you can to help the users understand even before they've, discovered or installed your app, what it's all about and what's the value that they can get from it. So it's great to drive, again, higher in-context discovery. That's Zeroinstall link unfurling. The second is set your app up to open links in stageview if there are scenarios where your app, has to open something up where the users can kind of review content. And then the third is, if you don't have a Teams app yet, or if you don't do link unfurling yet, start taking advantage of schema.org, even Twitter and Open Graph meta tags on your website, and we'll start to use those to create rich, actionable link previews for users and teams. So that's the end of the session. I am really excited and looking forward to seeing all of the wonderful user scenarios you come up with for your apps, leveraging these 3 link sharing micro capabilities. Thank you so much and have a great day.